Hello and welcome to Scorecard here on Citi TV. I am Bernard Abeku, especially in a week where it's been filled with a number of actions. Well, my guest would have to define if Arsenal is indeed title contenders. We'll talk about the under-20 women's team that's of Ghana who've qualified for Colombia, plus a little bit of the African Cup of Nations, the Total Energies African Cup of Nations, which is happening in Côte d'Ivoire. Again, we'll touch on the German's Bundesliga to know what's happening there. But there's a lot of action here on Citi TV. I am Bernard Abeku once more. Let me go for this break. When we return, I'll be introducing you to my guest. All right, thank you for staying with us here on Scorecard on Citi TV. I've got my guest right here with me in the studio. On my immediate right is Ekwamwesi and, of course, Dennis Nyako. How are you guys? You great?
Okay, yourself?
I'm a miracle.
Right.
You know, you're fine yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's been a long weekend, but I'm okay. I'm fine. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Of course, combining that with, you would have to stay, with a set to watch a number of games.
Yeah,
that makes it,
AFCON drama.
quite expensive, isn't it? I mean, okay, let's get it rolling, and we can talk about the under-20 women's team, the national team who have qualified for Colombia. It's the fashion in which they did it. It's quite exceptional, isn't it?
Yeah, especially you going away to record a win in Senegal and you coming back to the Barrier Sports Stadium to record that win. I think that there is something about, you see Bazigi and how he puts his team together. I think when it comes to qualifiers, he does it with ease, and I think that has been his hallmark. Whenever he's been given the opportunity to coach any of the national teams, and so for me, I think that with the Black Princesses qualifying on that huge 7, one on aggregate to join the likes of Morocco, Nigeria, and then Cameroon to the Mundial in Colombia is something that you really need to credit him for that. I think that he tried his best to assemble the best team, and I think that this is a team that really, you don't see them conceding a lot of goals, and you see, look at how they play. They play without a bit of kind of like they don't struggle to play together. They play collectively as a unit, and I think that is one thing that you also need to credit Yusuf Bazigi for that. And I think that for them to qualify for the World Cup in Colombia, I think it's a plus, even though over the years our performance there has not been that great. But I just hope that this time around we'll go there and make an impact, because you can't be consistently qualifying and you go there and don't make an impact.
Absolutely.
What will be the essence of it? And so for me, I think that, massive credit.
The last time in Costa Rica, we didn't really show up.
You see the points, but I think that massive credit to Yusuf Bazigi. I think that these are some of the things that when they say you are up there, he has done it consistently, and so massive credit to them. My only worry is that this time around, I just hope that they go there and make an impact.
Brilliant. Let me get to you, Dennis. This is not a blank quiz proper, but it looks like if we have a project, sort of a plan, it would be good integrating these girls into the Black Stars. They love to score.
Yeah, for the Black Princesses, I think that is something we've managed to do in recent times. I feel that for them to qualify for the 7th consecutive time, it's touched that it's something that they're doing right. But so I saw this coming in the first leg. It was obvious they were going to qualify. They played very well in the first leg, and it was just a matter of coming here to come and seal it. So I'm very much impressed with the team. I'm impressed with Bazigi, how he has combined the girls together, because from day one they looked like they were actually set on qualifying for this tournament, and it's something you've done for, like I said, the 7th consecutive time. I think the major step now is to actually go there and make an impact, like he said. So I think that for them to qualify is a major boost. I just feel that we have to get things in place to make sure that we go there and qualify. Like you said, this is more like a plan. We should look ahead on the long term, how we can keep these girls together so that when they go into that tournament and come back, we can, have a plan for them in integrating into the Black Queens, because, at that level we have been underperforming for some time now. So I just hope that the progression will follow as we go there. I pray that at least for this time round we make a major impact, even at least going to the next round or going to the conference, because I think these girls are good. I've watched them play. I think that they actually have what it takes to compete at that level. So I just hope we give them what they need to do, at least preparing for the tournament. You don't just go there and just because you're Ghana, you feel that you can go and just make an impact. It's about how much you prepare, because the other countries do prepare for this tournament, because they go onto this training program, make sure that they are really equipped before they get into the tournament. It's something so we have to look at and make sure that before the tournament starts, the girls are prepared for the tournament. So when you go there, we don't just go and show up and come back because we just don't go and make it look because you're competing. We need to go there and actually make an impact for the country. So I hope that there will be the concentration will be there for us to understand that we need to groom these girls for the tournament so that when a plan is set out, there's something strategic for them to follow so that by the time the tournament starts, they are ready for it.
I think two things. Two things, stand out for me. These ladies, or these girls, in time past, we will have to go outside and then bring them in.
That's the question I wanted to ask you.
But all these guys, all these ladies are playing here.
What does that mean to our women's football here in the
so
country?
it tells us that. I mean, massive credit to the current Ghana Football Association. I mean, leadership. Okay. In time past, you don't see these things happening. But even though the men's side minus, but in terms of women football, I think that they are doing something wonderful. And I think that ever since Nora came in, we've seen how all of a sudden how Black Queens are performing. Even though maidens have been banned, we are yet to see, I mean, how far the ban can go. But I think that with regards to these ladies and them playing here locally, I'm not sure the players that were invited, any of them are playing outside. I think that all of them are playing here. Majority are here. And so it tells us that when we're able to keep this lady, because I think that in time past, that is what we have been doing, both the female side and the men's side. From under 17, they migrate to 20, 23, and then it's
the last crop I feel was the DIU's batch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is why we are struggling now.
Absolutely.
But I think that if we're able to keep these ladies together and then we nurture them, we groom them, and then from 20 they go to 23 and then proper Black Queens, I think that I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that, I mean, Dennis was talking about we giving them the training tour and all these things. I think that the FA president, Kedel Kreku, says that I think both the FA and government are willing to ensure that they get inadequate preparation before they go to the tournament. So just like what Dennis says, so let's just sit back, hope, and let's see what the programs that the FA will roll out for this, because I don't think that, I mean, you go there just for sightseeing. You go there, compete fearlessly, make an impact. I think that is the essence now.
Now, I mean, Dennis, Echo, thumb up the FA for, putting light on women's football. Do you feel that the attention then should be on women's football for this FA?
No, I think, to be honest, I think this is like a bright spot for them, because this is an FA that has been very much underperforming for some time now. I think this is the worst FA I've seen ever since I started watching football. Ghana is the worst, and for them to be, doing something right this time, because I've been watching Nora, I've been watching the progress of the impact of what Nora has been doing on the not just the Black Queens, but even women football. Because I watched some of the games, I've watched how she's integrated herself into the training methods and everything. I've watched a lot of women football ever since she came. I realized that she's really make an impact. So on that part, I think they've done well to make the decision to bring her in, because I think she's having a major impact, and it's not just it's even going down to the under 20 level, even though she's not really in charge. But you can see that she's actually guiding the path in terms of women football. So I think for that one, you can give them credit for it. But I think there's still a lot of things they can do. Like you said, I am more interested in how they are preparing for the tournament, because for a tournament that you've gone on 7 different occasions. Actually, this is actually the 7th one.
Time,
yeah. And it's not just about, you need to go beyond because we normally go qualify and come back so early. So I think that I'm watching the space to see how they prepare for the tournament, so that we can go there and at least make a major impact. Not to go and win it, actually, but actually try to go.
But why not to win it?
But I'm saying, I'm not saying that I don't want us to win it, but I don't think I don't think we are
well positioned enough.
We just pray that we go there, let's pray that we win the cup. It's about what you sow is what you reap at the end of the day. Sure. So if somebody goes on a training tour and prepares for the tournament and goes to win it, you sit at home and do some mediocre training and you think they can go and win. No, it doesn't happen that way. So I think the seriousness has to show in what kind of training regime you have for them. Then we can see that they go there and make an impact. So that we are all watching and seeing what they can, because we don't want them to just go and represent the country, but we also want them to make an impact in this tournament in Colombia.
Beautiful. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, later on this year, you have to start saving, because we'll be going to Colombia later this year to see, how event turns up for us. But let's now move to Côte d'Ivoire and stay a while longer. Interestingly, and again I say interestingly, Group B is where Ghana belong. Nobody thought that Cape Verde were going to make it, to qualify at this point in time. They've qualified to the next round of the competition. But in that game against Mozambique, they played in an awesome fashion again, beating them by 3-0. Let's pick the highlights of that. When we return, we'll discuss that. Well, interestingly, again, and I repeat again, the guys have been just, it's been a bit of, it should not be Cape Verde. This should be maybe Egypt or Ghana. but the fashion in which Cape Verde does it, this is beautiful. I heard from the commentator.
Yeah.
He seemed to have, been short of words trying
That's
to
true.
describe the kind of play exhibited. I mean, Eko, you've seen the highlights. What do you make of their performance?
I mean, this is what you get when you do the right investment in Stan. And I think that for me, I'm not surprised. I'm not going to lie, but you see the quality of football that they exhibit, and it tells you that I think that so far they've been better than Egypt, they've been better than Ghana.
Absolutely.
And so once they are up there, you don't expect them to be on top of Group B. But I think that you watch them against, Ghana. They were they dominated the game. And I think they were able to carry the day 2-1. They came up against kind of like a shaky Mozambique team that have not been up there making an impact on the continent, and then they just demolished them. But then there is something that when I watched the Ghana game, after the game, I came across on social media.
Okay.
Mendes spoke to some Ghanaian journalists there, and then he said that Ghana is no more the Ghana that that was in the past. You remember they played them, I think, in 2013 and AFCON, and I think during the 2006 FIFA qualifiers, Ghana went there and beat them by 4-0. And he said something that Ghana is no more the Ghana that they knew. Ghana is not a strong side that they've played against in the time past. And they were even dancing after the win against Ghana. And so when they were coming up against Mozambique, they knew that they were going to win to qualify, and that is what you do. But for me, the point that I made earlier, this is what you get when you make the right proper investment. I think that I came across the FIFA reports on what they are trying to do in Cape Verde, and I think they've been able to assess the FIFA forward money of about $10.8 million, and they've been able to build 5 infrastructures. Even though most of their players that they are playing under AFCON, most of them play in the Portuguese league. But when you go back home, they are not joking with their football. They are paying careful attention to it and trying to do something. So for me, I think that I'm not surprised, because having read what they are doing back at home, I think that massive credit to the coach, massive credit to the players. You look at, most of these players, we don't even hear of them. The only player that you can even pinpoint is just Baby, because we've seen him at Manchester United. And even the goal that he scored, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the goal of the tournament. But I think that the performance that they exhibited against Ghana in Mozambique, for me, I'm not surprised that they are leading Group B.
Marvelous. Dennis, for you, the manner in which they score is lovely, isn't it? How they're able to time a defender's error and pounce on it, and shooting from every angle possible to fetch for the goal. This is a brilliant side. You can quite agree.
This team has been improving for some time now. If you really monitor Cape Verde, we've had some recent games, you realize that every single time you met them, the battles have become stronger, and you realize that it's a team that has been on ascendancy for some time now. So seeing them right now, it's just basically a combination of what they've been doing in recent time. Like he said, they are a country that have taken their football serious, because they realized that at where they were initially, they felt they could get better. So they did actually put some investment to make sure that they're going to raise their game, and it's paid off. Trust me, the game against Ghana was wonderful. The way they actually dominated us in the first half. Players like Johan Cabral and Ryan Mendes, and even this, the Baby at a point, and even and Montero, marvelous footballers, and they actually dominated that midfield in the situation where Ghana could even get close to the ball. And if you watch that first half closely, you realize that they play with a plan. They are well coached and very dominant in the first half. Trying to make a lot of incursions into our box. So they look like a team that is well coached and are really serious about their business. And I'm very impressed with them. You watch them against Mozambique, how they took their chances, it's wonderful. I was marveled at the technique by Baby, because this is a player we chastised in his early days at Man United, and to see him come up to that kind of match, it tells you how
at this level of African football,
it tells you how much he has grown. So yes, they've managed to get their football in order. They clearly played dominated, even though I feel that in that game against Ghana, part of it was also due to the fact that our coach wasn't serious. And I think it benefited them at that very point. But not to take anything away from them, they've been very excellent. They played very well, and against Mozambique, they were in great form, and they deserved that victory against Mozambique.
Marvelous. They have 6 points now, followed by Egypt, who have 2 points, and Ghana follows in that order with a point, and Mozambique themselves having a point. So they've already sealed qualification. And we can talk about another team that have sealed qualification to the next round of the Total Energies African Cup of Nations, and that is Senegal. They cruised past Cameroon into the round of 16, beating them by 3-1. Let's catch the highlights. We'll be back to talk about it. I nearly said that it was not a tournament for Sadio Mane. Probably maybe the cameras were not in. But that pass, we saw it in the English Premier League from Kevin De Bruyne. And Mane emulated that, or if you want, pictured the same style and approach of scoring and exhibited that in their game against a big nation of the sort. I mean, for you, it's about the defensive composition, how teams shape up to defend, or maybe the Senegalese were just too good.
No, in Cameroon they were not good enough. That is the truth. Listen, I don't know whether to blame Samuel Eto'o or to blame Rigobert Song. I know that these things it's a bit of process. You go through rough times and then you come to your peak where you can dominate football. But I think that, listen, you watch Senegal against that game. Yes, even though you can make a case for Cameroon because they are missing their star man, that is Abubakar, who has not played. I think that he's still nursing that minor injury. If Abubakar was in that game, I think that he would have given them a different dimension. But I don't think that you can solely, yes, you build a team around some crop of player that you trust, but I don't think that Abubakar alone can work that magic for them, because I think that the players that, Song called, Rigobert called, he trusts them, that's why he brought them in. But I think that Senegal were just too good for them. I think Senegal were just dominant. Senegal had their tactics and everything. Look at how they were building the attack. They do it in a very, very beautiful manner. Just look at the third goal. Look at how Nicolas Jackson held onto the ball. Made the other
absolutely a lot of
player
people
just to make the run to score, and he squared the pass in the ball into the box. Mane is just there, stop it in. I think massive credit to Senegalese what they've done, and massive credit to Aliou Cisse. I think that for me they are the team to beat that, and I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I'm already tipping that this time around. I think that I'm favoring, or I'm tipping Morocco to go there and to win the trophy. But I think that, listen, I haven't watched them play those 2 games, and especially coming up against a very dominant country like Cameroon, and for you to just dispatch them and dominate them and win the game by 3 goals, so I think it's not a fluke. But for Rigobert Song, huge question marks. I'll be surprised if Eto'o and the bosses allow them to continue. Sometimes you can be a very great footballer, but you never be a very good coach. And we've seen that in the past. Maradona is one, a huge player. I mean, even Frank Lampard is one. These are great footballers, but they will never be good coaches. They need to understand. I think that, yeah, it's very good when you have your own in the dugout who understand the ball, who understand the game, reach the game better, who has been there before, who understand the situation. But I don't think that for the Cameroonian situation, Rigobert Song is the right manager. For me, I think that massive credit to Aliou Cisse. I think that, for me, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they win if they defend their trophy, because they are so good. Because even the players that are coming from the bench, their substitution, every player that comes in is able to make an impact. And I think that is what a good team is about. Because look at Kamara, look at, Ismail Sarr. Look at all these players. Where are they from? Because they have a system there that is structured, that is working for them. And I think on Friday I had a chance to read a beautiful piece on BBC and how the Senegalese football all of a sudden that's risen from the low up to the peak. So it means that they are doing something right. That is why they are there doing all this beautiful thing. But for me, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to defend their title. They were so good against Cameroon.
Brilliant. Dennis, a little in that area. So for you, it's about taking the coach out, because it seems that they are not really getting the best out of what they had imagined he would come and do.
Yes. To be honest, Senegal have been impressive. To be honest, I watched their first game. I watched this game. It's not just about the names. It's not just about money. It's not about Lamine Camara.
Okay.
It's about the way they play. And they look like a team that is well structured. They have a real system about how they move the ball and how they play the ball around. And I feel that credit has to be given to them, because it's a team that has been progressing for some time now. And it's a team they've been building, and sometimes that's how they won the African Cup some years ago. They didn't just get up and said that you're going to win the African. They actually made they will make progress.
They planned,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a plan. It's not about coming to share $100,000. It's about actually making sure that you are well equipped and getting ready.
That's one at Ghana.
That's the fact. It's 'cause if you are serious in football, because if there's a plan to win an AFCON, it doesn't start today. It should start some years ago.
I think at least he has been there for 9 years.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's something they were actually planning, for to get there, and they did that. So I think the AFCON Cup is pretty much difficult. I think they're favorites, but I won't say the winners because this kind of tournaments you need a bit of luck sometimes, and I feel that they've got what it takes to win it again.
Great.
But it's going to be difficult. But for Cameroon, there are a lot of questions. They look really blunt against Senegal, to be honest. The attack was, I watched them. They went down by 2 goals, scored again. We're trying to get back into the game, and Senegal actually managed to get the killer goal. Okay. I just feel like they lack something up front. And like you said, Abubakar's absence could be also part of it. But I think as a team, and as for Cameroon, I'm very disappointed in getting to this tournament. Even the whole Onana situation is something that I didn't understand because I think that they created some artificial issues for themselves. Because I didn't expect them to handle that situation the way they did. Because if Onana was not ready or wasn't ready to come, because I don't understand why you go into a major tournament and then you have to pamper your players this way. If he's not ready, he's not going to come.
Absolutely.
You don't create
Leave him out.
Because when it happens that you set the precedence for yourself.
That's
great. I think kudos to Senegal for what they've done.
Brilliant. So this is Scorecard, still live here on Citi TV. We take our first break. When we return, there is more to discuss. Welcome back. This is Scorecard on Citi TV. I am Bernard Abeko. I've got my brother Ekwa Moisi and of course Dennis Nyaku with me here in the studios. You can join the conversation. We have our numbers on your screen. Leave your comments there. We'll be reading that for you as well. And of course, you have our socials there. You follow us and leave your comment with the hashtag, and we'll be reading all of that for you on this show. Let's still stay a while longer in that group. Talk about Group C, where we discussed earlier on Senegal and Cameroon's exploit. Now, you will not think it will be Guinea who would come second at this stage of the competition. This competition actually do not have minnows. Let's go for the highlight of that game between Guinea and Gambia. On return, you understand why I'm saying this. Welcome back from that highlight. It's interesting to see, that's the Guinea and the Gambia playing. It's not like, say, Senegal, Ghana, or Mali, some big nations. But that's beautiful to watch.
Exactly. I think, you see,
there are no minnows in African football.
Exactly.
Anymore.
I mean, that's the truth. But I think that for the Gambia, they had their own problem before coming
the
to
flight
the flight issue, the money
yeah.
issue, and all these things. But I think that massive credit to Guinea. There are, even though there are no minnows, but you see, there is something about when I spoke about what Senegal are doing, and I spoke about what they are doing. They've been there. You can't be coming there qualifying for AFCON and you come there and then you don't make any impact. You just go there and then you go. There has to come a time where you go there. Even though if you are not being rated among the favorites to even win a tournament, you go there and you make an impact. Just like what you said. Nobody expects Guinea to be sitting second behind a football country like, Cameroon. So it tells you that, listen, people are now beginning to take their football serious. And you look at how they were playing. Look at how deliciously they were playing. It tells you that if you bring in the right personnel to take charge of your game, you definitely see this exciting football. And look at even the chances that they missed. I think they were just unlucky. It could have been 3 or something like that. But for me, I think even for the Gambia, despite their issues, despite their difficult moment they experienced before even coming to the, I think
they
so far,
bad.
They've not been bad, honestly. Yeah. I think despite this sitting, at the bottom of Group C, I think that they've not been bad. I think that they've also not been unlucky because if you look at the goal that they scored and it was being ruled out offside by VAR. I mean, in any other day, if the player was in the right position, it would have been a wonderful goal. Look at how he held onto the ball and then pushed the ball, trying to force even a penalty, and then he was able to dash the ball into the net. For me, I think that for Guinea, massive credit to them. We've heard in the past what even goes into their country, they're kind of like instability and all this thing, but they come into such tournaments, the players kind of like they leave everything behind them and they come in there to make an impact. But I think that for them to be able to win and they are sitting comfortably in second in Group C, I think massive
4 points.
Yeah, I think it's not bad. Honestly, I think it's not bad. And
absolutely.
for me, even though yes, from tomorrow, Tuesday, I think that we'll see Cameroon. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they join the likes of Cameroon and Senegal qualify, because I think that they've been brilliant, honestly.
Okay. This AFCON really gives us a chance to have the third best placed team to advance to the next stage of the competition, which is round of 16. So with the number of groups that we'll have already 12 going, qualifying automatically. And then we'll look at the 4 best placed to add up to the 12 to make it 16. Then we'll play the round of 16. So there's a lot of action to observe in this year's Total Energies African Cup of Nations. I mean, for you, if you're a team and you begin fighting ahead of a tournament, this is what you get, isn't it?
Exactly. To be honest, I was very much concerned for them before the tournament started. When I was hearing all the stories about their travels, I'm like, you're going to a major tournament, you're going to the AFCON. The last thing you expect is to have these negative issues. These are things that I call artificial problems, because these are things that you create yourself. So I was quite sad for them, because I knew they were going to have it difficult in the tournament. Even without those issues, it's also going to be difficult to be in a group alongside Cameroon and Guinea and then Senegal. So I wasn't surprised. But for Guinea, they've always been a decent squad in AFCON. They've always been a team that comes to the AFCON and as much as they don't go too far, they always play well. The days of Pascal Fendonu and all those guys, they were always a decent side. And watching them now, I'm not too surprised, because they've always had something, but they've just never been able to go the extra step, and that has always been their issue. And I hope that in this particular group, where there are difficulties for Cameroon and Gambia, and where there's a third spot as well, I'm just seeing them going through the next stage, because I think they played well against Gambia, to be honest. They should have scored more, if not for the Prof. Legacy in front of goal. They could have added some, 2 or more goals. But it's been great. For me, I'm impressed about the tournament. I think that, like you said, there are no minus. The matches are very, very small. And you don't go into a game where, in those times where you go into a game with Cameroon and with the other big nations going and rolling over the other teams. You don't see those things anymore. You watch games between Cape Verde, coming against Ghana and beating them squarely. I think that scoreline against Ghana was quite deceptive, because if you want to see how they played in the first half, they could have actually scored 3 goals in that first half. So it's good to see. I'm very much impressed with the other teams. I think that there's not going to be any dead rubber game in the last group matches. I think it's only Cape Verde that seems to be the one who has gotten this. I think they've topped the group as well, and they've managed to go through. So no easy games for anybody, and that's what impresses me in every single game. I watch Mauritania and Angola. Beautiful game, We got to talk about that. Beautiful game. So it's quite impressive. I think the margins are very small between the big and the smaller teams, the so-called smaller teams. So at least it's good for the competition. It's been a very competitive tournament so far.
Let's still stay with the so-called smaller teams. You can join the conversation with the numbers on the screen and follow our socials as well with the hashtag and what have you. But, talk about smaller nations causing upsets in this competition. I've loved the Total Energies African Cup of Nations, especially seeing the quality of the pitch, the quality of play, the tactics involved and what have you. Makes the tournament interesting. Let's go for the highlights of Algeria and Burkina Faso. It was a beautiful game to observe. Watch this on return. We'll discuss that. And of course, I told you about how the manner of goals that are scored at this competition. For Konate's goal, I missed a certain Robin van Persie scoring with techniques, and absolutely, that could win the goal of the group phases of this competition. You ask me.
Well,
beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think I was having a conversation somewhere, and I was being asked this question: Who do you think? Which country can cause an upset? And I told them, you guys should watch out for Burkina Faso.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What did you see?
No, because I think that in the past, they've been consistent. This is a team that, even when they lost Aristebansi, they still come into major tournaments and they still manage to compete and then perform. But I think that those era of Aristebansi is no more. They have Bertrand Traore who's leading them. And I think he's doing wonders because of the experience that he's had in Europe. He comes here, play comfortably with the players around them, and they're able to go. And for me, for Burkina Faso, for them to be able to hold the 2019 champions, I don't think it's not a fluke. That's a wonderful work that they are doing. And this Algerian team, I think that despite coming back to grab a point, you also think about their mentality. I had opportunity to listen to Belmadi after the game, and I think that
one of the highest paid managers.
Yeah,
in Africa.
He seems so happy with the results. Because
Wow.
I think that a defeat would have been a blow to their chances of qualification. But I think that because they now have two points out of 2 games. Yeah. So it tells you that in the last round of games, they just have to go all out. And then try as much as possible.
To get about some 5 points.
Exactly. It's as simple as that to qualify. And that's why I think that Belmadi was so much impressive with the scoreline. But I think that for Burkina Faso, massive credit to them. I think how they're able to play and how they're able to set up their game plan and everything, I think massive. But I think that for Algeria too, you need to credit them because I don't think you look at the goal that they scored in that. I think it was getting closer to the 90th minute, and they were able to fight back because Burkina Faso took the league twice and they were able to come back and get that point. So for me, I think that massive credit to Issa. But for me, I still think that Burkina Faso, you need to watch it. Pay careful attention to them. I think they can easily upset any opposition that they come up against.
Great. Dennis, for you, it makes the group a little cagey. It's 4 points for Angola, 4 points for Burkina Faso, then Algeria having 2 points. For Mauritania, I guess maybe they understand that they're already out of the competition. Some 0 point. How does it make... Now you have to think about, when you are second, it's about the team you are meeting next. Exactly. Your chances of going ahead from the round of 16. With this, structure on the table, how do you fancy the group, first of all?
It's been a very difficult group. You watch the games, I've been very impressed with some of the things I've seen, even beyond Burkina Faso and Algeria. I've been very impressed with Angola themselves, and even Mauritania, who is down there. They play some great football. For this particular game between Burkina Faso and Algeria, I feel that to some extent, I think Burkina Faso blew it. If you watch the sequence of events,
they should have won.
They should have held on to the lead because you see, when you play against Algeria gave a very clumsy penalty. You watch how the sequence of events in the game, you realize that Burkina Faso should have held on to the lead. But credit to the mentality of Algeria. They just don't give up. They have this mix of players where they have a few young players, and most of them are experienced guys. And they've been in this situation for some time. You could see how confident they were even when they were down by a goal. And it's just, you see Boneja and see his conviction, his hunger of always trying to, he's always a nuisance in the box. And that's the kind of player he is. And he was very active throughout the entire game, giving problems to Burkina Faso, even when Burkina Faso was in the lead. So I was very impressed with them. You watch players like Slimani coming off the bench, to come in. So they have this mix of experienced guys and a few young players in there. But like I said, Burkina had it in their reach. They were leading by 2-1 in the 96 minutes. You don't defend that way. Because if you see Budaja's header, it was practically, he out-jumped everyone. And I was very surprised about the room he had to head that ball. Give him credit for the fact that he's always agile in the air. But I thought Burkina should have held on to this lead. I think that it's more of Algeria gaining a point than Burkina Faso losing 2 points, because I just see Algeria winning their last game.
You spoke about Algeria winning their last game, but we can pause there and take how the reactions also went in the Angola-Mauritania game. It was Angola who beat Mauritania by 3-2. To shock you what happened in the game. Let's pick the highlights. Someone can talk about it. Again, that Angola-Mauritania, shocking. And I was on X and talking about what thrills me about the Total Energies African Cup of Nations. That's about the goals.
Yeah.
You can't. Every game has a spectacular it produces.
Yeah, that's true.
For you, Eko, you've seen the highlights, and this is the kind of game that needs to grace the African Cup of Nations.
That's true. I think it's exciting, but I think that you see.
A lot of end-to-end action in comparison.
Yeah, exactly.
To
I would like to begin from the end of Mauritania. Mauritania have a very interesting story of how because their first time of making the AFCON was 2017. I don't know if they were in Egypt in 2019. I'm sure they were in Cameroon. But a country who just started experiencing AFCON just since 2017 is able to come this time around to make this impact. And it all boils down to the plan that we're talking about earlier on. Because I think they had an FA president in 2013 who came in and started changing everything. And then for the first time in 2017, we were able to qualify for the AFCON. But I think that it's just unfortunate that anytime they come, they exit at the group phase. Anytime they come, they exit at the group phase. But I think that I mean, they're going to get a time that one day they'll cross that hurdle. They'll definitely come there and make an impact. But I think that it was just unfortunate. This is a matter of inexperience on their side. But you can't also discredit them with the goals that they scored. Look at the goals that they scored. Absolutely brilliant goals. And so for me, I think that, I mean, massive credit to Angola. When the highlights was rolling, I was just thinking, Ghana is going to play against Angola in the World Cup qualifiers. You're aware of that. So they seem a very good team, a very decent side with a very experienced manager in charge. And I think that for me, I think that they were able to win the goals based on their chances that they were able to take. Because this tournament it's a game of taking your chances. We saw the number of chances that came even on the way of Mauritania they were able to utilize them. But I think that for me, massive credit to Angola. I mean, to both sides, Angola winning. But I think that we've been able to witness some very, very good goals. But I think that for me, Angola used to be a household name in Africa when it comes to the Cup of Nations. And I think that they went to bed a bit. But I think that gradually they are reviving themselves and warming themselves back into the AFCON tournament. And I think that this time for them to be able to beat Mauritania, a country that is also have had experience and trying to build their momentum in the AFCON tournament. I think that not all that surprised, but I think that I'm looking from the angle of Mauritania trying to fight them to get at least a point, but they were able to maintain their steel. Exactly. And I think that is a positive aspect that I'm looking at from that. And so credit to Angola, but also for Mauritania, I am so much confident that sometime they'll cross that hurdle.
Amazing. I mean, Dennis, it's about taking your chances in clinical areas on the pitch of play. The final third has been decisive, especially in this tournament, isn't it, from the highlights you observed?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. I was making reference to this game earlier. It's a game I watched, and it's a game I was very much impressed with because the attacking instincts of the team, basically it was more like trying to, not taking a lot of risks to be able to score a lot of goals. And basically that was the mindset of both teams. They were trying to knock the door of the opposition. But I'm pretty much impressed with how they played. Mauritania coming into this game as minnows and watching how they've played, you realize that you don't see there's not much disparity between the two teams from what we saw. So they are basically a minnow trying to get into the AFCON, and they've been there once. I think it's their first in open play. I don't think they scored in their first competition when they came to AFCON. This should be their first goal.
Sure, that's very much true.
To score your first goal like that, that should tell you
that's
that
brilliant.
that's a way of announcing your presence. So it's great. But I'm also very impressed with the Angolan team and how they played. There's so much energy. And I'm saying that because, they are in our group
for the World Cup qualifiers.
And they look like a very, very good side. And it's a team we have to be prepared for. Because watching players like Jelson Dalla and how he's been playing this tournament, you watch his goals today, beautiful player. The way he handles the ball is great. So they are a very exciting team, very energetic. And I'm just imagining when we go to Luanda, how you can cope with them because they are a very good side. And we have to be ready, to be honest. You see, I've always maintained that the thing about Ghana is that we have to understand that everybody's upping their game. Every single country is upping their game. You watch countries now, you watch Mauritania coming in, and in recent time how we've played, I can't even be convinced that we might meet Mauritania and win. You see, there's no assurance. So we have to raise our game because every other country is raising their games, and we have to concentrate more, invest in our game, and make sure that we stop this dishonesty and call the right players for tournaments and try to make an impact. So, it's great to see these two teams. Angola was great, but I think that even if Mauritania, bows out, I think that they've done what they played a great game. Watch the game they played today; it was massive. So, kudos to them. I think that subsequently they will make major impacts when they come into the tournament.
Is Dennis saying that Ghana can beat Mozambique tomorrow?
No, but it's a possibility. But your coach is not serious. Your coach is not serious. So I keep on telling people that that game against Mozambique is dependent on the coach. If he wakes up and makes the right decisions, fine, we'll go ahead. But from what I've seen, from what I've seen in the previous games, the kind of decisions he's making, he can be the one to actually, if it's going to happen that we don't go through, it's going to be depending on the technical team. So we are watching him and see, because I've watched games today. Listen, I watched DR Congo and Morocco. Yeah. And you see the change that DR Congo made in the second half. That is what changed the whole game. So if you are making...
We'll get to that game.
Exactly.
Too.
So you have to make changes that will affect the team in a positive manner. So if you are making changes that deflate your team, then what is your use?
Interesting. So, I mean, for this AFCON in particular, if you are about to play a team that does not have name in Africa, it tells that you have to be a little cautious.
Yeah,
from what they
that's true.
saying, right?
That's true. And I think a classical example is what Ghana experienced in Cameroon when we came up against Comoros. Ghana needed just a point.
So we should have known ahead of
just a
coming
point
to the Cape Verde game.
To sail through. But even with regards to even the Cape Verde game, you've played against them twice in the 2000 World Cup qualifiers. You went there to beat them 4-0. And I think in 2012 and 2013 AFCON, Ghana defeated them by 2-1 or something like that. But in the case of Ghana, what happened in Cameroon, where we lost to Comoros, I think the narrative in town was that Ghana would just go in there, pick up the 3 points, and we qualify. But we started on the wrong foot. And then even when the DIE was sent off, everybody knew that the game was over. And look at how they dominated us when the DIE was sent off. And so for me, I think that, I mean, what you're saying is right. When you are coming up against any side that are not giants on the continent when it comes to football, you need to be worried. And that's why I asked that cheeky question, whether if Ghana will be able to stand Mozambique, because honestly, I think all of us here will agree. We've not really heard much about Mozambique when it's come to continental football. But you shouldn't be surprised. Because, listen, the game against Egypt, I think Egypt were lucky to get that penalty. If not for that, I think that they would have been beating Egypt. And I think for me, any side that is coming up against an unknown side,
very cautious.
You need to be very
interesting.
You need to tread cautiously.
That's
honestly.
great. That's great. So Angola have 4 points, Burkina Faso follow having 4 points in there, Algeria having 2 points, and then Mauritania have no points in their group. So that's Group D for you. We take a break here. When we return, there's Tunisia, Mali to talk about, and of course we'll talk about Morocco and DR Congo. So this is Scorecard on Citi TV. We'll take a break. We'll return for more. I'm back. This is Scorecard on Citi TV. I am Bernard Abekoach. I've got Eko Amoisi here with me, and then it's Nyakua. So to digest a lot of issues. So we do quickly the Tunisia-Mali game. It was 1-1. Then, of course, we take the Morocco-DR Congo game. So it was also 1-1. One return. We'll look into that. All right, so you welcome back once more, from those lovely highlights. And I love what I saw. The goalkeepers have also come to the party. It's not as if they are conceding some cheap goals. I mean,
if you really want to make an impact in a major tournament, you need a very good goalkeepers. And I think what we've seen that in the European tournament and I think club football as well. And so same as, football at every level, if you really want to achieve something, you need a very good goalkeeper. And I think with Bono, the reason why people criticize him when he made that decision to move to Saudi, because he's an elite goalkeeper. And I think for me, he in my own opinion, I think that he's ranked among the best in the world, the likes of Thibaut Courtois and the likes, because he's such a fantastic, goalkeeper. You look at the saves that he made for, Morocco. We've seen his heroics and exploits in the FIFA World Cup, and so for me, coming here, you expect him to continue his exploits with Morocco. And so for me, I think that any good team, if you really want to go to tournament and make an impact, it's not about just assembling a very good backline, midfielders and attackers. You also need a very, very good goalkeeper. When it gets to difficult moment, he will rescue the team. And so for me, I think that in every football competition, you need a very good goalkeeper who can rescue you in difficult times.
Brilliant. Now, you look at Group E, and Mali have 4 points. And for South Africa's results, today has opened the group up. They have 3 points. Namibia have 3 points. And Tunisia shockingly have a point. And we saw them in that game, drawing.
Yes, to be honest, I was surprised that Mali didn't win that game because they created so many chances. And you see, the thing about tournaments is that when you have a stronghold of a game and you don't make it count, then you actually end up paying for it in subsequent games. Because Tunisia were not at their best, to be honest. I've not been impressed by the way they play. But these North African teams, when if you don't kill them off, they always stay in the game. And you watch the game they play, they had I think that was more like look at the number of chances they had, and they scored just one of them. Mali created a lot of chances, but just because they lacked composure in front of goal, you could see some of the chances they had there. They should have made it count. They should have won that game by 2 clear margins. But because they didn't take their chances, they ended up playing the game, ended up drawing the game. And I think that they had actually lost 2 points because Tunisia, so you could see from the images that they were happy to have drawn the game because they knew how they suffered in that game, the fact that they were surprising Mali themselves couldn't capitalize on their defensive issues. But it was good. It's ended 1-1, and like you're saying, the group is much open because South Africa won today.
Absolutely.
By 3 goals. So it makes the group, those final games, going to be very, very interesting. But moving on to the Morocco game, I'll just give you an instance because, Morocco, for what they've done in the past, the fact that they were the first African country to go to the semi-final, and how they've played
of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think they are the number one ranked.
They're number one in Africa, of course.
They come with a lot of clout. So if you watch the game against DR Congo, you could see that in the first half, I think DR Congo gave them too much respect. And you could see in the first 15 minutes, they were practically, outplayed by Morocco. And watch how they were, Onahi and Hakimi, even Abrabat was taking charge of the game. And then they had a penalty in that game where I feel that they just weren't confident in that. Because if you watch the penalty that was played against Bono, I don't know whether you felt maybe you were facing Bono, you was a bit, tensed up. Because for what Bono has done, he's one of the best goalkeepers in Africa. So they started on the wrong footing by missing a penalty. But I like the way the coach changed the game in the second half.
Okay.
I'm sure he spoke to them during halftime. But he made a few changes that, caused the game to change. If you see, he brought on Silas, the guy who scored the goal.
Absolutely.
He made a change, and you could see, you watch Fiston Mayele on the flanks. Constant threat to Morocco. And these are things we want to see. You want to see your coach make changes that will affect the game in a positive way. And that is what he did. And I think that actually that contributed them, because if they had added 5 minutes to that game, I'm sure Congo would have scored again. But big ups to Morocco. I like their spirit because even when you were under siege, you could see that they were actually very confident and still managed to get a point, because for how well DR Congo played in that second half, I felt even some other team that were given into the pressure, but they stayed resolute. And that's what makes them, a very strong contender for the African Cup, because even in difficulty and adversity, they're able to stand their ground. So, great game by DR Congo. I was very impressed. I hope that our coach can learn from things like this.
Absolutely.
So that he can also make changes that will affect our game positively, not to deflate our team.
That's
so
true.
It's good to see the DR Congo in there.
I mean, he talks about taking your chances.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very critical, because I watched a bit of the South Africa game, the South Africa-Namibia game, when Pesital scored an early penalty kick. In a split of 4 or 5 minutes, Namibia had about 3 chances.
Exactly.
They failed to convert all of them. And, I mean, South Africa, right after that, they came back, they scored and made and doubled their lead. And then they went all the way after 90 minutes. They scored 4 goals. Exactly. So it's about taking your chances. If you don't take, that's how football speaks. That's football. And if you fail to take your chances, I mean, you end up paying for it.
Interesting to know from that. Well, Morocco have 4 points, and of course, it's DR Congo also having 2 points, and Zambia also having 2 points in there. Tanzania have a point. What it means is that the group is then again open, so it's not as if it's only Ghana's group that's suffering. Yeah. So the groups are widely open. The third round of games would have to prove, and we start tomorrow, and Ghana have a game tomorrow later on in the evening at 8 p.m. You need to leave your message in what you think about the total African Cup of Nations after round 2, with our numbers going down on your screens, and make sure you join in as well. We'll be turning around to move into the English Premier League. Interestingly, it is Arsenal who Dennis Nyaku sat here and said they are not serious, who proved to him that, look, they are a serious club. We just only need to get to January, and they will show you why they mean business. Let's pick these highlights. We'll return for more. So these are moments I love in football, where you get your chances. I've already said that football is about moments and chances. And we just saw that. Dennis, I need to start from you on this one. You said Arsenal were not serious the last time. Yeah. You said Arsenal is just not serious. Were those your words the last time?
Those are my words.
Are they still serious,
and
or they are not?
I stick to them all the time.
They're not serious?
They're still not serious. You see,
that's 5-0 against their City rivals.
I said that in context. Okay? So what I did say was that Arsenal knew the kind of issues they had. Mm-hmm. And I felt that they were not addressing it. And kept on saying they wanted to win the league. If you don't address the issues that you have, how can you win the title? And it's very evident that they still need somebody up there.
Even with 5 goals?
Oh, please, you're playing Crystal Palace at home, for Christ's sake.
That's a derby. That's a derby. But that's a derby.
You're playing Crystal Palace at Emirates, and you can't win that match. And then I don't see your business saying you want to win the league. That's true. So this is an expected result. So these are not the games that determine whether you win the league title or not.
They've lost 2 of their derbies. They lost against Fulham and against West Ham United.
So if you want to win the league title, it's a game you should be winning. So this is actually no news. If for me, I felt that they've had some pretty bad games, and they needed to get to score some goals to give them confidence. I think it's pretty impressive that you're able to score 5 goals in this game because it's still the Premier League. And to score 5 goals at home, pretty much so much credit to them for the able to score because they needed those goals for the confidence of Sunday. Because Martinelli has been awful for 2 months. The whole front line has been awful in recent times. And that's my problem. I was saying that in the business end of the league, you don't lose form, you don't go to sleep when after December. And that's what they were doing. So until they cure that, I hope this is not a flash in the pan performance. so if they can be consistent, because I still feel they need to get somebody, they need to get a good striker in. Because I think that if they want to continue relying on Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli and all these guys to get them goals to win this title, that I think it's not going to happen. And because you watch the likes of Man City and what they are doing now, coming back into form, they will always be a threat. So my issue with Arsenal is that they need to address their issues. And because if they really want to win this title, they need to address that scoring problem. And it's something that is highlighting. Yeah, they scored 5 goals today, but the question is how consistent are you going to be? Yeah. That's my issue. And that's why I stick to what I said. I knew they came from there last time, but it's not a problem. So I just feel like they need to get more consistent. And it's good Martinelli scored. I think Saka didn't get on the score sheet. But no. I think subsequently, if they can improve and start scoring goals, fine. The better for them. But I still maintain
You still maintain they're not serious.
Why should you trust Arsenal?
You don't trust Arsenal with the 5-0 scoreline?
I mean, I think Arsenal,
that gives them 43 points. They are getting closer.
It doesn't
matter. The person who's on top is having 45.
It doesn't matter. I think Arsenal, look at what happened last season. You can't lead a league for 220 plus days. Someone just uses 15 days to clinch the title. No serious club would do that.
On top for about 32 matches, if not 31, exactly. In that range.
It tells you the level of mentality, toughness that they have. I don't think that they have that toughness. And so for me, I think that regardless of how Arsenal start every season, I don't count them as my favorite because I don't think that they have that touch that every side need because. We've seen Chelsea do it. We've seen Man City do it back to back. Yeah. We've seen Liverpool even do it. And Jurgen Klopp. We've seen even last season. Alex Ferguson's last season when Manchester United.
2013.
Just look at the crop of players that he used to win that season. Arsenal with those players can never win, and they keep on buying and buying and buying. You don't buy players that does not fit into your profile and expect to win the league. And so for me, I side with because the classical is the Havertz thing. I don't still understand why the pages are. Havertz. I don't really see it. And from what Dennis is saying, I would have loved if they used that money that they used to purchase Havertz for a proper out-and-out striker.
Interesting.
I think that would have been brilliant.
Interesting. Even when Arsenal is winning on a huge margin, the guys or gentlemen would never
listen, Abi, look at this Crystal Palace team. They've been awful in the past 5-6 matches that they've played. Honestly.
It was a derby now.
No, it doesn't matter. But coming into the game, Palace have been awful. Okay. And I think after every game, just listen to Roy Hodgson.
As for Roy, I have my reservations about him. But let's move into a striker that Arsenal would love to have, Ivan Toney. He's back and he's on the score sheet again. It was Brentford who beat Nottingham Forest by 3-2. Let's go for the highlights. So that was Brentford who had the opportunity against Nottingham Forest and they played at home as well. And that was, Ivan Toney. That's where the spectacle is on. He has been, having issues a bit with issues of betting and what have you. He comes to the party after so many days and then he scores.
Wonderful. And I think it fuses into my argument that I was having recently where Thomas Frank was saying that if Brentford would allow him to go, you need to be ready to be paying around £100 million. And I think that for me, that is how the market is now. But I think for now, I think he comes back into this Brentford team at the right time where they needed somebody to help them fight and get points. Because listen, you can't go out for 8 months and then you come into a game and without instant impact. I mean, look at that free kick. I think it's just wonderful. And I think that for me, Ivan Toney to come back into this Brentford side is a huge plus for them. And I think for me, Thomas Frank is just a lucky man. Because you look at all the challenge that they've went through and some of the games that they've lost, and then for Ivan Toney coming back into this side, I think it's a huge plus for them. And in fact, I am expecting them to do more. I mean, magic, because this is a player that, I mean, you look at his performance last season. I think that he just continued from where he left off last season, and then winning games and scoring goals for them. And you just saw how the home fans celebrated when he scored. So it tells you that they really miss him. I think in his absence, yes, they've been able to win the game, but it clearly tells you that in his absence, there was a vacuum there that somebody needed to cover up, and he coming back, huge plus for Brentford, and a huge plus for Thomas Frank as well.
Beautiful. I mean, Nyako, I want to go for the highlights of a German Bundesliga game that's surprising to me. It was Werder Bremen beating Bayern München, and that's like what I couldn't wrap my head around. So let me go for the highlights. When I return, you have a bit to touch on, the game we just watched, that's of Brentford and Nottingham Forest. But let's first go for the Bayern and Werder Bremen highlight. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Dennis, for you, you saw the highlight. You saw that magical goal. You needed that goal to separate.
It's just a great goal, and for that goal to be the winning goal, it actually deserves it, to be honest. Bayern sometimes it's just have those games where they switch off sometimes, and it's happened a few times this season. They're out of the Pokal Cup. There are games they play so well. Kane has been scoring a lot of goals, but it's like anytime he's not really been, put the ball behind the net, then it's like, Bayern have struggled to make up for that. I just feel that they've not really been at their best this season. They've had very good games where they have won with big margins, but they're still lacking something. I think their backline is still a problem for me. There's just this coordination, and to be honest, I enjoy the fact that this season for them is very competitive, because Leverkusen doesn't look like they are slowing down. They won yesterday, and they just won't lose. And I think it's good for the league. I've always been one person I've always had a problem with the fact that Bayern have been too dominant in
Absolutely,
the league, winning every single title. Dortmund sometimes seems to come in, and even the last season, losing on the last day was something that I couldn't imagine. But it's good. It's good for the league that Leverkusen are giving them a run for their money, and the fact that they have to be very consistent. That's what we can see now. And for Thomas Tuchel, I think it's a big test for him, because he can't finish the season without a title.
If he doesn't win any titles,
and that's how Bayern is measured. They see the league test as
Pep Guardiola went there. They see
the league test as a constant. Mm-hmm. So when you go the wet resort and you're not able to win the title, you might just end up losing your job. And it's going to be a very long season for them. It's now 7 points behind Leverkusen, 48 points, and we have done the first half of the season. So it's not looking good for them. I think Leverkusen look relentless, and I think it's good for the league. It's good for the competition, and we see what happens, because I just feel that Bayern are just not at the level yet. As to what is happening, I still can't figure out, because they score goals, but I think sometimes they just leak too many goals. But that was actually an exception, because that goal was mouth-watering. Brilliant. And so it's good for the league, to be honest.
A very quick one. He spoke about the Bayern backline. He spoke about the Bayern backline. I have always made this argument that Upamecano is not good enough. Don't play him.
It's not.
Guess maybe that will be an argument for another day. Let me pick a few of your messages before we take leave of you. This one says, what time will Ghana start a game tomorrow? It's 8 p.m. I am Nasamu from Yepi. I don't know the reason why our technical team can't get us good goalkeepers. I think West Hamstead goalkeeper can do the job, and I want to know if Abdul Manaf Nuruddin is injured. Thank you. Keep the fire burning. He says, this one is from Enzo. He says, Ghana will win the game by 3-1 tomorrow. We need goals, and that's the most important thing. Thank you for joining the show. This is Scorecard on Citi TV. We'll come your way next week as well. I got Eko Amoisi here with me, and of course Dennis Nyako. Thank you for making time with us today. We'll come your way next week. I am Bernard Abeko. Sport is life. Get involved.